here, so don't mind me while I go ahead and get that started. Um, yeah, so thank you all for being here again. The purpose of this workshop here today is to talk about our upcoming recitals. And since I don't believe any of you, except for Cole's been to a couple of them, have participated in one of our recitals before. This is all going to be good information to prepare you as well as to help you prepare your students to perform on stage at our recitals coming up this spring. So I'm going to go ahead and share our presentation here. Give me 1 second. I'll do a little screen share. Okay, can you all see that all right?
Yeah.
Awesome. Sounds great. Okay, perfect. So here we go. Here's our recital planning workshop. And here is the basic timeline here of what we're looking at in order to best set your students up for success at this recital. Now, our recital dates, where I'll talk more in detail about that and what it's going to look like, is basically May 20th and 21st. So if we're thinking timeline here, we have a general 12-week timeline to prepare your students for this recital. So if you're thinking ahead here, which we all should be, week 1 is actually going to be next week. So it's, even though May 21st and 20th seem like quite a ways away, it's good to start thinking about this now, because students who are feeling well prepared and confident at these recitals are going to walk away with the best experiences possible. And this is what we want for our students, for them to feel good and confident about performing on stage and feeling good and confident about their experience at being a musician and in music lessons. So here's the general timeline that we're talking about here. We'll go into more detail about each of these in a little bit. So week 1 is essentially deciding what to play, choosing a piece. Week 2 is getting off to a good start, section work. Week 3, reinforced focused practice. Week 4, practice, praise, and push. Weeks 5 through 8 is going to be about how soon you can play the piece all the way through. And then weeks 9 through 12 is going to be the finish line, staying positive, practice the recital flow, potentially playing from memory, remembering all the little big things to focus on here as we approach recital day. So feel free to take a screenshot of this timeline here if you'd like. I can also send you the slides later, just to help you for a reference here. But like I said, we're gonna kind of dive into each one of these as we go. Okay, so here's some details here. We want all students essentially under the age of 18 to perform at our recitals. So we don't quite have adult recitals yet. If there's enough interest, that might be something that we add on this spring. But at this point, it's mostly geared towards the kiddos here. And we tell our families and students that we're going to do that they'll play in 2 recitals per year. And that's how much Lessons in Your Home puts on recitals. We'll do one typically in the spring before school gets out around May. And we'll also do one around the holidays in December. So basically, we want students who have been kind of taking lessons for a little while to be playing in this. So if you have students that are just kind of getting started this month or next month, might be a little bit too early for them to perform in this recital, because we want to get them comfortable with the basics and all of that. So we say, as a general rule, all students who started before January, I think, would be a great fit for performing at these recitals, which I think we all have students who have started before then. I know, Jessica, you just kind of got started, but all of your students have actually been taking lessons before January, so they'll all qualify as being ready to perform, and most of them have performed in our recitals in the past. Exceptions can be made for students who started later if they're really into it, they really want to perform, or if they've taken lessons before in the past. We're open to anything here, but as a general rule, we want students who have been taking lessons for a little bit to have that under their belt. Okay. Lessons in Your Home will host two recitals annually, and a lot of times it just includes, teacher students from multiple teachers at each recital. If you do have 20 or more students, you're more than welcome to put on your own studio recital. Even 15 or more students would be a great fit for that, and I can absolutely help you with that if and when you get to that point. Okay, here's some specifics on our recital coming up here. So the location of our recital is Dazzle, which is an awesome jazz club in downtown Denver. We've been doing our recitals there for the past couple of years, and it's a really great venue. As a quick note, they are changing locations. So if you've been to their previous space, it's going to be a different room. It's going to look a little bit different. In the past, we've had tables and food and all of that, and I think this is going to be looking like a little bit more of a traditional recital hall. But it'll still be a great venue. They're a really great organization that does a lot for the music community here in Denver.
Do you there do you know what are they changing neighborhoods?
They're still going to be downtown. I think they're just going to be at the Denver Arts Complex instead.
Oh, okay, I see.
Yeah. So they're still going to be downtown, but they're just moving rooms, I guess. And it might look a lot different. I don't know. I have to tour the new space soon. I'm excited to do that. But anyway, so here's the days and times. The 21st and 22nd. Did I get that right? I thought I said the 20th and 21st. What is that weekend? It's the 20th and 21st. So sorry about that typo there. But that's the general weekend, the 20th and 21st. And usually we'll do 4 recitals on each of those days, 9:30 a.m., 11 a.m., 12:30 p.m., and 2 p.m. You will only be required to attend one of these. So I will be working on your schedule, your specific schedule for your students coming up this week, and I'll be sending you those exact times for your performance later in the week. But if you do have a conflict for one of these days or times, please let me know now. That way I can work on that and not schedule you during one of the times that you have a conflict for. So excuse that typo. That'll be May 20th and 21st, which is that Saturday and Sunday. Okay. And our main objective here is for all of our students to have a positive experience playing music for an audience, right? I think we can all, that's an idea we can all get behind and relate to. I don't know if you remember the first time that you performed in front of an audience, but it can be a very scary time. It could also be a very exciting time, but we want to make it as pleasant of an experience for our students as possible so they can walk away with that. It's really one of the coolest things that we do as music teachers is to prepare our students to get to that point to perform in front of an audience and feel good about it. So our students are going to gain confidence and new love of playing. They'll learn the value of working toward a goal and executing it. That's a major thing that our students are going to learn through this process. Parents are going to love it. They're going to see their kids thrive playing music and be happy and excited about it. And teachers, it's a great time for us as well. We're going to see the results of our hard work and dedication and, being there, our consistency, teaching these kids on a weekly basis, and then actually see them perform. It's one of the best parts, like I said, of being a music teacher. So it'll be a lot of fun. Okay. The importance of this 12-week recital plan, which I can't overstate. We want our students to feel comfortable and prepared to perform their pieces. So I have a couple of video examples sprinkled out throughout this workshop. And here's a really great example of a student who clearly feels confident and good and prepared from their performance. And this is a video from one of our virtual recitals. So here is Greta performing her piece here.
Hello, my name is Greta Gunther, and I'm going to play Square Dance. Ladies and gentlemen, time to start the show. In a big old barn, people gather round. In their square dance clothes, looks like the whole town
Awesome. So a few things I love about this performance. It's she clearly feels really well prepared. Her teacher did a great job of, coaching the little things, right? Like they clearly said, "Hey, every once in a while, smile at the camera," and she felt confident being able to do that. She remembered it throughout the piece. Um, there's like one section that she may have had difficulty with, and her teacher helped her count through it, but she didn't stop. She just kept that performance going. And so it's just a, clear example of, somebody very well prepared and confident going into their performance. All right, so diving into the timeline a little bit, we'll start here at week 1, which again will be next week. So it's going to be your responsibility to inform your families about the recital date. Okay, I'm not really going to send a blast email out to all of the families involved. So as teachers, it's going to be your responsibility to talk to the family and let them know when their recital date is. You're going to choose and start a recital piece with your student. Okay, and we'll dive into those details in a little bit, but mostly this is as much your recital as it is ours. So, really take ownership over it, and you'll be happy with the outcome as a teacher. So this is a great opportunity to really take pride in the work that you do as a teacher, because you get to, like I said, see those amazing results and be an active part of it. Okay, so informing your families about the recital dates. So let's kind of talk about how to do it. So we're not going to ask our families and students if they'd like to play on the recital, because a lot of times our students, they might not know what a recital is, and they might be just scared of the idea and just like immediately say, no, I don't want to do that, because they're not quite sure what it is. So we're more educating our students that, hey, this is what we do as musicians. We play in front of an audience. It's going to be awesome. So talking to your students about it, hey, we have a recital coming up. I'll let your mom know the recital date. Today we're going to decide a recital piece. Do you know what a recital is? So again, this is your opportunity to educate your student, talk to them about what it is, and it's a chance to share the music that we've been working on. So we're not going to say, hey, do you want to participate in the recital? Because a lot of times, a young student might not be able to fully make that decision because they're not totally educated on what it is. That being said, if a student is absolutely adamant about not doing a recital or just scared to death, we're not forcing anybody to do anything at all. But we definitely want to encourage as much as possible and teach the student how wonderful of an experience it can be. So letting the family know if you're teaching the lesson in person, if you're there, hey, Mrs. Smith, I need to let you know that we have a recital date coming up. This is the date. We're going to start on this piece at today's lessons. This is what we're doing. Would you please mark your calendar? So again, similar situation. We're not really asking, hey, are you available? Or hey, do you want to do this? Do you want to participate? It's more letting them know, hey, we have this recital coming up. Here's the date. Would you mark your calendar? And it's important to, end with that, asking them to mark their calendars, and, actually have them whip out their phone and put it in, because a lot of times our families are really busy. So, if we kind of mention it offhand, they might forget about it or not necessarily know 100%. So it's always good to, approach it with the family like, hey, this is a date, it's happening. Let's mark our calendars so we know that it's happening. Okay. Letting a family know via text if for whatever reason you're unable to access the parent at a lesson, or you forget, or whatever the case is, you can also let them know. Text, hey, Mrs. Smith, would you please mark your calendar? This is our upcoming recital. We're going to start working on our recital piece this week. Okay. So hopefully it's far enough out where they don't already have a conflict, but for whatever reason, if they do have a conflict, then just let me know and we can kind of figure it out from there. If they need to move to a different date, it's still early on that we can hopefully be able to make that happen. So just be in communication with me about that. If you hear anything other than, yep, that sounds great, I'll mark my calendar right now, okay? Okay. Choosing and starting a recital piece. So important choices here. So you want to make smart choices for your student, and you have a choice on where the recital piece can come from. And it's kind of depending on your student. And at this point, hopefully you know your student well enough to know, what they're going to be capable of confidently playing in 12 weeks. Okay. So one option you can choose is a great option. It's a song that they already know from their 3-song repertoire. So as lessons in your home teachers, we like to make sure that our students are able to play 3 songs at any given time at their level. So this is essentially choosing a piece that they're already confident with, they already know how to play. It's the easiest choice for a student. So maybe your student is really busy. They don't really practice very much. Their progress isn't really one that they can confidently play a new piece in 12 weeks. This is a great choice for those students. So they have instant access to a song that they have already learned, and you can make it extra special for their performance. Okay, so you can just fine tune the details over the next 12 weeks and make sure that they're, totally able to rock and roll on that one. So another choice is to choose a piece that a student is currently working on. So this is a great one as well. If a student has already started working on a song and you think it would be, based on the timeline of your student, something that they could definitely play with confidence and ease at the end of these 12 weeks, then this is a great choice for those students. Another thing you can do is start on a brand new piece. So if you know that your student just loves to dive into new material and wants a new challenge, and this is something that you think that they can do, start a new piece and then have it totally ready to go at the end of 12 weeks, then this is a great choice for that student. So again, every student is different. Every student progresses at a different rate. So just make smart choices based on your student. And the most important thing is just to make sure it's something that they can play confidently at the end of 12 weeks. So it doesn't necessarily have to be a new piece for that particular student. It just has to be something that they feel really great about. Okay. Week 2, getting off to a good start here. So time to start digging into the piece. Doing hand separate work, if it's a new piece, understanding the teaching and the rhythms within the music, identifying challenges. So basically like looking at the piece as a whole and tackling it from there and seeing what, might be a challenging aspect of the piece, what piece we might want to start developing different rhythm studies to work on. Are there any techniques in this piece that we need to start working on so they have it, nailed down at the end of 12 weeks here? Sorry, one second. I think we have one more teacher joining us. Hang on. Okay, Danny, if you just came in, welcome in. On to week 2 of our timeline here. So as I said, looking at this piece as a whole, identifying any kind of techniques that we can separate out. Have the student listen to the piece. So pull up an example of somebody playing it on YouTube and play it during the lesson to let them get excited to hear the final product of what it's going to sound like. Highlighting different dynamics and special parts of the performance. Separating out the piece into 3 or more sections. So looking at the piece as a whole, perhaps like sectioning it out, taking out different rhythmic examples, different technical examples, things that you can work on. These are all great things to do during week 2. And you can think about teaching this in sections like we talk about during the structure of a 30-minute lesson workshop, which is another workshop that we do here that some of you have been a part of already, and hopefully more of you will be a part of soon, but it's basically just about breaking down a lesson into different sections. So this is something that we can apply when we talk about breaking this recital piece down as well. Okay. Getting by with a little help from our parents. So definitely bring the parents in. Explaining your plan to the parent. It's always a great practice to take a couple minutes after each lesson to kind of connect with the parent, let them know what's going on. So you can always let them know, that you've started working on this piece and you have a plan for it. And, everybody's going to feel confident about that as well. Because it's not always about having the students feel confident, but also the parents need to feel that as well. So bringing them in and letting them know that you've got a plan and you've got it taken care of, that's a great way to make everybody feel good about the situation. How to do this without creating pressure and, just letting them know that you've got the plan and that you're taking care of it helps alleviate a lot of that pressure from the situation. The parents know, like, okay, I'm not going to have to do like a whole lot of extra work here. Teachers got it. Everything's under control. So oftentimes you might have a parent who's uninvolved or one that can't help. Just like each student is different, every parent is different as well, and they're going to have their own sense of involvement in the lessons. And if your parent isn't as involved, that's totally fine. Then it's between you and your student, and how your student is going to work. So oftentimes, if there's not as much support at home, we can do one of those other options in terms of choosing a piece, relying on repertoire and things like that. The most important thing to reiterate is that everybody feels good going into it. Okay, week 3, talking about focused practicing here. So working on each section of the piece, we've already broken it down to different sections. Examples of focused practicing here. We've talked about the tricky passages already. We've talked about the different rhythmic exercises that are going to help. So we can create these exercises based on tricky passages, taking something that might be a little bit of a roadblock and blow it up and have it be one of your exercises that you warm up with or that you touch on each lesson, so that by the time the recital comes, that tricky passage isn't so tricky at all. You can even practice approaching the stage and how this piece will begin. It's not too early for that. The better you can prepare them for what it's going to look like, what it's going to feel like to play these pieces, the better. So feel free to start on things like that as well. Positive reinforcement always is going to go such a long way. It's just week 3. We have so much time to work on all these things. So always the whole step of the way, letting your student know that they're doing a great job and that they're right on track and they're going to do such an awesome job at this performance. Okay. Week 4, again, practicing praise and push. So practice with your student. And like I said before, praise their efforts. Positive reinforcement goes such a long way. The more we can tell them that they're going to do great and that they're on the right track and that everything is going as it should, the more confident they're going to feel going into this performance. So, and that's our goal here. So keep that confidence up. But also push to meet the goals. The recital is 8 weeks away. So at this point, your student, how much you can push them without pushing too hard. But you want to also make sure that you're letting them know that, hey, this recital is coming up. You're doing an awesome job so far. Let's keep up that practice and let's keep adding these new sections and letting them know that you have a plan and you're confident. And if they see that you're confident, they'll be confident as well. Okay, week 5 through 8 is about how they can play this piece all the way through and how soon. So this is about the time where you're going to be starting to put the piece together. You've worked on these different sections. Now we're going to be working on the transitions between the sections. If they've got that down, we're going to be working on expression, phrasing, articulations, getting into those details to make a piece a lot more performance ready. So if we can't play the whole piece all the way through, how far away are we? So this is an important question to ask yourself at this point. Because if we aren't able to play the whole piece all the way through, maybe we need to make some adjustments and some editing to the piece to make sure that it's going to be attainable at this point. Weeks 5 through 8 are going to be 4 to 8 weeks away, so we want to make sure that we're setting our students up for success here. So if it's looking like, it's super far off for them being able to play the whole thing all the way through, it's totally fine to fall back on a piece from the student's repertoire. And if so, it shouldn't be presented as a disappointment, right? We're not going to say like, this isn't really sounding good. We should probably just play this other one. There's all kinds of positive ways to frame it. Hey, like I think this piece it's coming along great, and I think it could be awesome for the next recital. But maybe for this recital coming up, I really like the way you play this other song. Maybe we could do that. And, that'll help take the pressure off the student as well. And they could potentially feel really good about it. It's all in the way that you say it and the way that you present it to your student. So make sure you're presenting it in the most positive way possible. Hey, we'll do this one at the next recital. I love the way it's coming along. I think it's going to sound great. I think we could definitely benefit from a little bit more time with it. For this recital, I think I really love the way you play this other piece. I think it sounds awesome, and I think that we'll totally nail it. Maybe we need to pivot to that at this point. So it's a good time, weeks 5 through 8, to evaluate if need be. And there's also editing, as I mentioned before. So you can edit your piece. It doesn't have to be exactly as it was written on paper. You can change the duration of the piece. If that third section is just not happening, get rid of it. It's fine. We'll just do the first 2 sections and we'll repeat it and it'll be great. So if we're only doing the first 2 sections, we'll do those twice and it'll be awesome. On the other side of that coin, if it's, a really long song and, they're gonna, the piece as it is written is like 7 minutes long and the same verse chorus, like, for a really long time, we can definitely edit that down as well. And that'll feel good for your student as well to not be like on stage and, those 7 minutes can feel a lot longer for the student performing if it feels long for you listening as well. So these are all great choices that you can make for your student. So take some artistic liberty there. It doesn't have to be exactly as the piece is written for them to be successful with these performances. Okay, so here is an example of another performance that we have where we could have done a little bit better from one of our live performances here. The student, it's a little hard to see, but isn't necessarily as comfortable, confident going into playing this piece that maybe they could have. Maybe they could have relied on a piece that they already knew how to play from their repertoire. Let's listen. Oop, or not. Here we go. All right. Okay, so in this example, the student is, we're not really quite tying the notes together. It sounds like they haven't been necessarily preparing with this piece for the past 12 weeks. So this is an example where we could have helped the student by a lot more preparation or maybe choosing a different piece that they felt more comfortable with. Another example where we could have helped this student a little bit more. This is one from our virtual recital. Again, just a little bit more preparation, focus on certain technical aspects, technique could have gone a long way here. Oh boy. All right. Yeah. So I would say maybe more of a focus on different technical exercises that we could have done here, as well as helping with the transition and stringing the piece together a little bit better. Okay. Weeks 9 through 12 here, this is the finish line. So this is the last couple weeks that we're working on this. Stay positive, stay positive. That's a huge thing. Again, the recital is getting closer. The student might be becoming a little bit more nervous about the whole thing. So we need to be extra, extra, extra confident and positive for the student. This is also a great time to explain the little big things, how and when to bow. What happens if you make a mistake, or to really be what happens when you make a mistake, right? Because you know, it's going to be a completely new environment for them. You know, students need to understand that mistakes are okay and that they happen, and know what to do when they happen. So all those little things are going to be super important to set your student up for success here. When to start playing the music and to prepare first, make sure that they have their books there ready to go and that they know to take them up on the stage if they're working out of them. You know, a lot of times kids will just be so nervous and they'll just run up to the stage, throw their book down, sit down, and just start like plunking away. So I always like to make sure students know, like, hey, make sure that everything is comfortable before you start. Take your time, find the right page, take a breath, you know, find middle C, compose yourself, and then get started. So all these little things can be explained to your student beforehand. So how to start playing, how to end the music, you know, what happens when it's over. That's something that we as teachers often overlook explaining as well. Because again, nervous students, they'll finish the piece and then they'll just like run off the stage. They'll leave their music there. You know, a lot can happen. They're like, I'm done. Oh my gosh, I'm getting out of here. So just let them know to enjoy the moment, take a bow, you know, take it all in, gather their materials, and calmly exit the stage. How to receive applause, let them know that people are going to clap for them. You know, it's all these little things that you don't necessarily think about, but a student doesn't know if they've never done it before. So the more you can explain these things, the more they're going to be prepared, and the more prepared they are, again, the more comfortable and confident they're going to be. So again, will you bring your music and use your music while you play? So some students will have their pieces memorized. That's totally fine. Other students won't. That's totally fine. Just know what your student needs and make sure that they know what they need in those situations. Mock recitals. This is a really great tool to help prepare your students as well. So it's a pretend recital that tries to stimulate or simulate the real experience and challenges of the live recital. So, you know, I do this sometimes just one-on-one with my students, where, you know, even in a lesson environment, I pretend like it's going to be the real thing, and I stand up and I make a big speech and I announce the student, and they, you know, come up from wherever they are, you know, sit behind the drums or the piano or the guitar, or whatever it is, play their piece. I, you know, clap obnoxiously, they stand up, they bow. So it's always good to do these things, even if it's just that. You can also encourage your families, like, hey, you know, maybe if you have people over at some point, or, you know, if grandma and grandpa are coming to dinner, try to host a little mock recital of your own and have the student perform. So the more opportunities that your student gets to perform in front of people, the more comfortable that they're going to feel on the big recital day. Reinforce the little big things. This is a great time to, you know, remind them how to bow, how to approach the stage, how to have their music, all those little details. I'll do different mock recitals. Well, I'll have like distracting recitals, and they'll be playing, and I'll cough really loud and obnoxiously, or like cry like a baby or something like that. And it's hilarious, and the students will find it funny. But at the same time, it's important because I'm making all these sounds and these distracting things, and it's kind of simulating what might happen at an actual recital, because there might be a baby crying, there might be somebody coughing, there might be like an ambulance going by. Something might happen that's going to take them out of it. So it's good to make sure that you're doing these things so your student gets that experience as well. I also do this game with my students called the mistake game, where I force them to make a mistake throughout the mock recital. They're not a fan of this one, but it does help. And I'm a drum teacher myself, so I'll have students playing drums, and in the middle of their recital, of mock recital, I'll just shout mistake, they'll like hit a crash or something weird, and then they'll try to keep going after that. And so it's a fun exercise. They have fun with it. But it's also, again, really important for them to have that experience. So if and when it does happen live, they know how to get out of it. If they've never practiced it before, they won't know what to do. So always have them practice these things. Okay, shifting gears on what I need from you guys logistically to make all of this great stuff happen. So I'll be, like I said, scheduling your recital date and time. What I need from you is the program information, because we always print out programs, and we give them out to everybody. So I'll ask for a few things in terms of what the piece is that your student is playing, the composer of the piece. Please don't leave it blank, even though I know at this point that James Pierpont composed Jingle Bells, because I've written it several times. Still, it'll save a lot of time just to know exactly who the composer is, if there's an arranger, even if it's something out of a Faber book, arranged by Faber, that sort of thing. Double check your students' names on the spreadsheet. Double check it in person, even if you're what the student's name looks like online. Sometimes it might not always be correct, and we want it to make sure that it's correct in the program. So double check at your student's house, like, hey, is this how you spell your first and last name? And let them confirm that with you. And if it's different, let me know, because we might have to change it online, because sometimes it doesn't always enter in perfectly. So always double check the students' names, or if the student's last name is different from the name that we have on the account, that's important to know as well. We want to make sure that everybody is represented in the program as they want to be. Use the spreadsheet and update any major changes, especially if it's close to the recital. Send me an email. Hey, we changed our piece to this one instead. If there's like any last minute changes, always let me know. I'll also ask for any kind of tech requirements. If your student's going to need an amp or a drum set, or if they're playing the backing tracks, that sort of thing. So I'll need to know all of that kind of stuff. Okay, just got a question from Danny. Does each student get one piece or several pieces? Also, sorry for being late. All good, my friend. Yeah, basically you want your student to really try to focus on like one piece, I would say, for each recital. Now we have some students that play multiple pieces if they're, playing like a really short, like 10-second excerpt from something. In that case, sometimes we'll do multiple pieces, but in general, we want each student to play for no longer than like 2-3 minutes. Like, it goes pretty quickly. Older students might have longer pieces, but like as you've seen from some of the examples before, a lot of times it goes fairly quickly. So if you have a student playing like a really simple piece that's going to be like 10 to 20 seconds, having another piece there is totally fine. But for the most part, try to keep it to just one piece. Okay. Adult student, we kind of talked about this earlier. We're trying to keep it to children. If and when we do schedule an adult recital, I'll keep you posted on that, and we'll keep all the adults together. But for the most part, we like to keep it all kids for the most part. And if we do an adult recital, that'll be separate. Okay. And I'll open it up to more questions here at the end. But we'll kind of get through this. If you have any questions about anything specifically that I'm mentioning, please feel free to pop in. You don't necessarily need to use the chat. But if you have anything relevant to what we're talking about, please feel free to pop in. But I'm gonna have a question and answer section at the end for anything else you guys might be thinking about. Sitting with your student. So this is something that I'd like to kind of touch upon here. So sitting with your student, meaning when they're performing their piece, maybe sitting with them next to them at the piano bench, that sort of thing. So really only if it's necessary, we encourage you to sit with your students. In special circumstances, obviously, like if your student is going to feel more comfortable with you there at that point, whatever is best for the student, we like to defer to. But for the most part, we really like to try to foster independence with our students and really encourage them to go up there on their own. They can do it if you teach them, right? So consider all the things that a student needs to know to get on stage by themselves, how to approach the instrument, how to prepare their music, getting to the correct page in their music, if they need to make any adjustments. Really try to foster that independence because they really can do it. But if day of the recital, your student is just so freaked and they just need you there, absolutely go for it, but for the most part, we try to anticipate those needs and coach them as best as we can so they can be independent with these performances. Now, that being said, we do have duets from time to time, and those are great. Student-teacher duets are awesome, as long as it's your student who is the star of the show, and the teacher is just kind of there backing them up. That can be a great option as well. If we have vocalists, oftentimes we'll have the teacher playing piano, or, even sometimes with guitar, we'll have the teacher strumming the chords and the student playing the melody line. Those are awesome. Like I said, as long as it's, about your student and it makes for a great performance, then go for it. Okay. Another quick example here where we're so close with this student. This is a great performance. I think the student does a really great job. And it's just an example of the teacher sitting with the student, right? And what it can look like and what it can feel like. I think, in this particular situation, we could have, the student is so close to being able to perform this piece independently. I'm not sure exactly what the specific situation is here, but it seems like with a little bit more coaching, the student could have been able to play this piece on their own. Yeah, otherwise great performance. Just maybe a little bit more coaching on being able to read through the line on their own. Another example, same thing. Yeah, I mean, that student was playing independently, just in general. So maybe she needed the teacher to be there to feel a little bit more comfortable. But in that situation, it seemed like the student was pretty good on their own. So just a couple examples of what that looks like. Here's an awesome performance here of this little guy playing violin independently here. Maybe just a little bit of coaching in terms of what happens when the piece ends, but for the most part, I think this kid nails it. Yeah, awesome. Great performance, super well prepared, dressed to the nines. Just one bow and a solid walk off away from A plus 100% performance there. The same thing with this next one, I believe. Another great performance here. Yeah, another great performance. Just needing a little bow and it's all there. So, and you can see how quickly a lot of these go as well.
Hi, I'm Maddie, and I'm going to be playing a part of Here Comes the Sun by the Beatles.
Yeah, so that's another super rock solid performance and a great example of editing as well. So that could have gone on for way longer, but it didn't really need to. She just, demonstrated a solid mastery over those sections of the song and felt really great about it. So that's, like I said, an example of editing, how you can work with your student on what they're going to feel best about. Okay. Um, a couple more here. So your responsibility at the recital itself, look nice, put on your Sunday best, show up like you're showing up to see an awesome performance and that one that you're an active participant in as well. Make sure you show up early. On time is 15 minutes earlier than your students are supposed to arrive. So your students are going to feel best if they show up and they see you there, because it's going to be a new environment for them. They might feel like a little bit nervous walking into a new place, but once they see your face, early and on time and looking good and ready to greet them, that's going to set them at ease quite a bit. So don't understate the importance of being there early and for being there for your students. Help your students get comfortable by showing them where they will be performing and help them get the instrument set up that they'll be playing on. If they have like a guitar, violin, help them tune it, make sure that they know where to put it, they know where to grab it, that sort of thing. Make sure that they know where the stairs are and how to get up on stage. What the piano looks like might be it might look and feel different than what they have at home. It likely will. I know a lot of our students are learning on keyboards. So the feel of a grand piano might be very different for them. So maybe even taking them by the hand and letting them play a couple notes, just so they are aware of what it's going to feel like. That's going to go a long way. Check in with myself for Neek and keep us updated on when all of your students have arrived, so we know that everybody is there and checked in and all of that good stuff. Okay, and have fun. Enjoy your students and their families. Take pictures. This is an awesome picture of a teacher with their students. So yeah, have fun with it. It's a great time to, get to meet the aunts and uncles and grandmas and grandpas, and actually get the chance to hang out a little bit and not just be totally focused on lesson time when you're there with your family. So it's a great opportunity to deepen your connection with your families as well. All right, and that is that. So I'm gonna stop sharing here and open up the floor to any questions anybody has after, anything that we have gone over. Does anybody have any questions that they want to ask or things that they're thinking about?
This is not really related to the recitals, but a lot of the pianos that my students have are like so out of tune. Or like some of them, like one of the pianos really should just be thrown away. Like I'm not really sure, like yeah, I just don't know how to handle that, because like I can't really teach ear training if it's not in tune, you know?
Yeah, totally. And that makes sense. And we have to do our best to work with what we have. In a lot of situations, we might not be working with ideal gear when we go to somebody else's house. That's kind of one of the unknowns that we work with when we're traveling to somebody else's house. That being said, you can always offer like a light suggestion to one of your families. Since you just got started, I would maybe like wait a couple of weeks before suggesting that sort of thing. But you can always say to the parent, hey, like I think that piano is sounding great. I think it could really benefit from a little bit of a tuning. If you know somebody and have a recommendation, then that's a great way to be helpful in that situation. If you need one, just ask me. I know a couple of piano tuners in the area. But if it's something like, this piano needs to be thrown out, that's definitely not something that we want to necessarily tell the parents. Offering to tune, that's a great option. A light offer to, hey, have you looked into digital keyboards? Something that might be like a little bit more consistent tuning wise. But at the end of the day, it's all dependent on what the family wants to do and their budget and, all of that good stuff. So there's still a lot of things that we can work on with a student with a piano that doesn't necessarily sound 100%. So if you make those light suggestions and nothing comes of it, just work less on ear training, I guess, or use like a computer program for ear training instead of the piano itself, something like that.
Yeah, the also, I mean, one of them in particular is not just like it's out of tune. Like some of the key, like the hammer, they had it tuned, and I don't understand why the tuner didn't mention this to them, but like some of the hammers are just like they're not really aligned, so they're getting stuck. Unlike almost a quarter of the keys, probably.
Well, send me an email on it. Maybe we could talk more into detail about it at another time, but kind of want to shift the focus back onto the recital stuff, if that's all right for today. But we'll get into that, and I'm absolutely happy to help you out with that. Okay. Does anybody have any questions about what the recital is going to look like, or recital prep, or anything like that?
I have a question. I guess I haven't really I haven't really trained any students for recitals yet, and yeah, the bowing portion at the end. I mean, I even noticed when I was in music school that a lot of my peers were eager to rush the bow and rush off stage just because of, stage fright, nerves, that kind of understandable thing. Apart from doing a mock recital where, they would have to take a bow to their family or, anybody who could be present for it. Do you have any suggestions on sort of, how to go about, practicing the bow or accepting applause and not just kind of immediately scooching off stage or rushing that ending portion of it?
Yeah, it's a good question, and I think a lot of that can be accomplished with the mock recital, and some things can be that can be accomplished by showing them some videos maybe of some performances where you see somebody bowing and it looks really professional. Showing them that that's what it could look like would definitely be helpful. But yeah, I think for the most part, just preparing them on what to expect is going to help with their nerves a lot, and just letting them know that they are going to be nervous and it's going to be okay. It's going to be fine. They might feel that, like, that adrenaline rush, and it's great. That's part of it, and it's totally normal. So when you feel that, just remember to take a breath. I always, teach like breathing, because if they're able to take a conscious breath, they're able to do other things consciously as well. If you're feeling that adrenaline, take a breath, do your best to try to remember all these things. And, if they don't, that's fine too.
Yeah, those are good suggestions. I'll definitely probably show a couple videos of like, hey, it doesn't have to be long, just 5-10 seconds of you accepting applause, giving a bow. You don't have to stay up there long, but just don't run off immediately. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Thank you.
Yeah, exactly. Danny, do you have a question?
Yeah, and sorry again, everyone, for being late if this was answered. Is the student supposed to introduce their piece at the beginning, or do they just sit down and start playing?
We haven't talked about that yet, so it's a great question. And how we've done it in the past with recitals is I'll usually introduce each student to the stage. So I'll let them know what they're going to be, the student and what they're going to be playing. So the student will come up to the stage, and they don't necessarily have to introduce themselves. In the virtual recital setting, we also have the teachers introduce themselves as well. But yeah, for the most part, either myself or the teachers, depending on the structure of the new room, it might make more sense for the teachers to introduce the student with this new room. So we'll have more details on that as it gets a little bit closer. But for the most part, the students really won't have to introduce themselves. They'll just have to kind of walk up to the stage, get their stuff situated, play the piece, stand up, take a bow, accept applause, and that'll be that.
Thank you. And is electric guitar okay for the recital?
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Okay.
And if you need, Dazzle has great backline too. They have amps and things like that. So if you do need any sort of technical requirements, that's something that you can note on the spreadsheet as well. And I recorded this workshop for you, Danny. So I'm gonna send it to you. So if you can watch, the beginning up to the point where you got in, that would be great.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, absolutely.
Will there be a virtual recital separate on a different weekend or the same weekend?
The virtual recital, I haven't quite scheduled yet, but it will likely be a different weekend for that, quite possibly the next weekend. I have to look at the holiday dates and what that entails. I think the next weekend might be Memorial Day, so it might be a couple weeks after that. But I'll keep you posted on the virtual option, because we do like to have a virtual option as well.
Thanks.
Yeah, absolutely. Awesome. Well, thank you all so much for your time. And Deneen, I saw your note. I'll absolutely send you this recording too. If anybody else would like it just to have, please let me know, and I'd be happy to send it out so you guys have it for reference. If you want the slides, feel free to email me after this and let me know, and I'll send that over to you as well. And just in general, if you have any questions at any point along the way, I'm always here and available for you guys. So always feel free to reach out, okay?
Thank you, Alana.
Absolutely. You're welcome. Thank you all so much for your
Thanks,
time.
Alana.
You're welcome.
See you shortly.
Yeah, see you soon, Cole. Y'all have a great week.